The story begins with a man named Jos, who, along with his brother-in-law, works as a buoy installer and boundary marker on the beach. On this particular day, Jos isn't feeling well, so his brother-in-law takes over the task of heading out to the middle of the sea to install the markers. Meanwhile, Jos meets his fiancée, Tina, to discuss his plans to go to Singapore. As Jos's brother-in-law is working offshore, a beachgoer suddenly sees a large shadow in the water and hears warning alarms. Sensing danger, Jos rushes to his brother-in-law using a motorboat, but he arrives too late to save him. Tragically, his brother-in-law dies in the incident. The scene shifts to a year later, where Jos is still in Australia, reflecting on the tragic loss of his friend and brother-in-law. His fiancée, Tina, has left for Singapore, and Jos is haunted by the memory of what happened. Around the same time, a news report airs, showing a reporter discussing the frequent appearance of sharks along the coast, signaling bad omens. Having quit his previous job, Jos is now headed to start a new job at a supermarket near the beach. On his way, he notices strange signs like dogs barking and birds flying from the sea towards the land, as if they are fleeing something. When Jos arrives at the supermarket, he begins his work but is shocked to bump into his ex-fiancée, Tina. She's there with a new boyfriend, an Asian man named Steven, whom she met while in Singapore. Meanwhile, we are introduced to a beautiful woman named Jane, who has a habit of shoplifting at the supermarket. When her theft is discovered by a security guard, she runs away to meet her boyfriend, Ryan, who also works at the store. Shortly after, the store manager and the guard arrive to confront Jane. During an argument in the parking lot, a police officer nearby notices someone carrying a gun into the store. The officer quickly draws his weapon and follows the person, realizing it's a robber. Since there was no money in the safe, the robber ordered the manager to reveal where the cash was hidden. Meanwhile, the police officer, who had been watching the robber, tried to intervene and stop him. However, nothing the officer did could change the robber's mind, and a chaotic scene unfolded. Just then, one of the robber's accomplices arrived and took one of the store employees hostage, eventually shooting and killing them. Jos, hearing the gunshot, rushed to investigate and was horrified to find that the robber was now holding Tina at gunpoint. Determined to save her, Jos tried to come up with a plan, but before he could act, a massive tsunami hit, devastating the entire city. Fortunately, Jos survived and began helping people climb onto higher shelves to escape the rising water. He soon spotted Tina shivering in the water, and without hesitation, he dove in to rescue her. After reaching a safe place, Jos felt relieved when he noticed the masked robber was now dead, floating lifelessly in the water. Meanwhile, the boyfriend of the shoplifting woman, who had fainted in the parking lot, regained consciousness and realized he was trapped inside a car. Using a screwdriver from the car, he managed to break a window and escape. In the same parking lot, the couple who had been arguing earlier were also trapped in their vehicle. Suddenly, they were greeted by the terrifying sight of a large shark tapping on the car window. Push. While trying to help the trapped couple, Ryan came up with a daring plan. He used debris and nearby objects to distract the large predator circling the area. Once the creature was momentarily diverted, the couple swam as fast as they could toward a higher platform for safety. However, still feeling uneasy, Ryan decided to toss a piece of equipment into the water as a distraction, much to the dismay of his companion. Despite her frustration, they managed to escape. Ryan then attempted to climb a fence to reach higher ground and escape. As he was hanging from the fence, he slipped and fell back into the water, where the predator continued to circle. After narrowly escaping, Ryan climbed back onto a safer spot, but his companion's new partner wasn't as fortunate. He fell into the water and was quickly overtaken by the creature. Meanwhile, inside the supermarket, Jose instructed some of the survivors to search for a way out to call for help. Tina, along with her new partner, swam across the flooded area, followed by a security guard. However, they were blocked by debris and vehicles stacked near the exit, forcing them to return to the original area. Joss, who had prior experience at sea, noticed unusual activity in the water, signs that the predator was nearby. He quickly warned everyone to get out of the water. Tina managed to climb onto a higher platform, but the security guard behind her wasn't so lucky. The large sea predator closed in and attacked before the guard could escape. As they were strategizing their next move, an aftershock shook the building, causing parts of the structure to collapse. This brought a high-voltage power cable dangerously close to the water. If it touched the water, it would endanger everyone in the area. The manager mentioned a way to turn off the electricity located behind the storage room. Knowing time was running out, Joss volunteered to go, even though his hand was injured. The bleeding made it risky to enter the water as it could attract the predator. Fearing for his safety, Tina quietly tried to stop him, worried that his injury would put him in more danger. With no other options left, Steven, Tina's new boyfriend, came up with the idea of using a metal suit to enter the water and shut off the power. They used a hose they found as a makeshift breathing apparatus. Joss and the others helped by holding the hose as Steven descended into the water. As Steven slowly made his way toward the electrical panel, a shark approached, causing everyone watching from above to feel anxious. Luckily, the shark didn't notice him and merely passed by, possibly mistaking him for an old trolley or object. Steven continued toward the panel, but unfortunately, the breathing hose wasn't long enough, even though the panel was only a step away. Determined, Steven took a risk by releasing the hose in order to pull the lever and cut the power. After successfully shutting off the electricity, Steven struggled to return to the surface as his metal suit was too heavy and he ran out of air, tragically leading to his death. With the giant shark still looming, the survivors felt increasingly hopeless. However, Joss noticed the ceiling above and came up with the idea to escape through an air duct. With the help of a former criminal who was also trapped, they managed to throw a rope to climb. The store manager volunteered to climb through the duct and find help. But as he crawled through the pipe, he was startled by crabs crawling toward his face, almost causing him to fall. While hanging from the edge, a shark suddenly leapt out and bit the manager's leg, killing him instantly. Amidst the chaos, one of the group members suggested using a meat hook to lure the shark away. However, someone would have to go into the water to retrieve the necessary tool. Despite his severely injured leg, a police officer offered to do it. But before he could go, his son, Jemmy, who couldn't bear to see his father in danger, jumped into the water first to retrieve the hook. During his attempt, Jemmy was chased by the predator, but managed to hide and strike the shark with a meat tenderizer. Seeing Jemmy in danger, the others created noises to distract the shark. The distraction worked, allowing Jemmy to retrieve the hook and return to safety. Their next plan was set in motion as Joss tied a rope to a shelf, preparing to lure the shark. Without wasting time, they dropped a piece of meat into the water, hoping the shark would take the bait and get hooked. Unfortunately, the plan failed, as the shark, being used to hunting live prey, ignored the dead meat. Then, one of the more sinister-looking men in the group, resembling a thug, came up with a terrifying idea. He would use a living person as bait. Brandishing a gun, the man took one of the supermarket employees hostage, intending to use her as live bait. It soon became clear that this man was actually the same criminal responsible for killing another employee earlier. Just as the robber was about to throw the woman into the water, one of his accomplices unexpectedly stabbed him in the back. They tied the robber to the hook instead, using him as bait for the shark. When the shark arrived, they pushed the criminal into the water, where he was devoured, and the shark got caught on the hook. With their plan finally successful, Joss and the others prepared to leave the area. Meanwhile, in the parking lot, two survivors, a couple and Ryan, were still trapped. Hoping to signal for help, the guy came up with the idea to bang on a metal pipe, creating a sound. Fortunately, everyone inside the store, including Jemmy, heard the noise. Jemmy recognized the tapping pattern as a code he used with his girlfriend, so he and Joss, following the police officer's orders, jumped into the water to rescue Ryan and the others in the parking lot. Upon reaching the parking lot, neither Jemmy nor Joss realized there was another shark lurking nearby. When they spotted it, they panicked and quickly climbed onto a car. Realizing this was his father's car, Joss remembered there was a gun in the trunk. Joss was told to retrieve it and shoot the shark. However, his first shot missed, and he fell into the water. As the shark lunged at him, Joss quickly fired again, and this time the bullet hit its mark, killing the shark. After escaping the parking lot, they hurried back into the store to reunite with the others. Suddenly, another aftershock hit, causing the shark's hook to come loose. Joss, still holding his gun, tried to shoot the shark again, but the gun malfunctioned. Thinking quickly, Joss switched to a stun gun, electrocuting the second shark, which was killed by the shock. The predator was finally defeated.